Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to what is the third attempt of me trying to do this video. Each time I get to the end of the editing and I realize I've cocked up, made some mistakes along the way, and have had to do it again. And now this time, I think I've got it all sorted, but I have a horrible cold, so please ignore my glorious, glorious voice. So this is pre-rendered backgrounds. You know what they are. That's why you've clicked on the video. This is going to be a very, very simple way to use a material instance as a pre-rendered background in Unreal Engine. I'm using Unreal Engine 5.6. This will work on other versions, but you may need to change some of the settings. The reason why I'm doing this is because I found one of the tutorial on YouTube for pre-rendered backgrounds that you had to do pretty much most of it in Blender. Now, a lot of people aren't familiar with Blender or very well versed, and it may seem a bit daunting. I have found one other tutorial, which wasn't on YouTube. It's by a gentleman named Mathieu. Shout out to Mathieu. He was the one who found to do this. Now, this is a variation on his. He does go further in depth using the player controller system. For this, you will need a camera switcher, which is simply just it's a blueprint with a trigger volume with a camera attached. So the player walks into one, and then the camera automatically takes over. As you can see, I have these different cameras set up here with various shots, just to give an example. I will link Mathieu's website and YouTube page in the description. Go check him out. He's working on a classic RPG style game called Nox Tourist. It looks great. As I said, his tutorial does go a bit further in depth than this, and there are some differences, mainly that his is using Unreal Engine 4 point something, and I'm on 5.6, but it does still work. Now, this will point you in the right direction. You may need to do a little bit on your side at the end. I will go into that later. So as you can see, here is my lovely level. It is looking pretty empty. This is literally just for this video's purposes. So to do the pre-rendered background, first of all, you're going to want to come to project settings. Come up here, go to custom depth stencil pass. Now this should be enabled with stencil. It may be on disabled or enabled, but you're enabled with stencil because we'll be using a stencil system. So the way this works is we are going to create everything you want in your first level, everything you want on the background, everything you want on the walls, etc. Like here, I have got a light source here and here. Putting some nice shadows on just to show how this works. I've not got lights on the wall. I mean, there's a gap there. It doesn't matter. That's super stretched out. It doesn't matter. It's literally just for this tutorial purposes. Got some box causing shadows, and I've got a door. That's it. The pre-rendered background system uses a screenshot of your level. So anything you want as your pre-rendered background, you have to put in the level first. Bear in mind, things will cause shadows like here. Obviously, shadows, lights, who'd have thought it? So you want to populate it with everything you want to be pre-rendered. I'm happy with this. It's pretty crap. I don't care. Now, when you've done that level, so this is my level here. I'm going to duplicate it. Test level 1, I'll call it PRBG. Okay. Come up to your levels here in the outliner. Drag that in. Loop. Turn off your persistent level. Lock it. And click into your new level, your pre-rendered background level. This is exactly the same because we just duplicated it. Here's the camera. So we click on that. Any changes you make here, you will have to make in your persistent level as well, because this is a one for you do this at the very end when you're ready to go. Otherwise, things aren't going to line up. So we will then pilot the camera and we will press G, go to game mode, hide everything. So this is what the screenshot is going to be. It doesn't matter here, it says preview because I've not built the lighting, or here there's no textures from the other bit. I'm just focusing on this one wall, this one room here. You will do this part when you've built all your lighting, when you've built all your everything you need. And you come down here, high resolution screenshot, capture, open the folder, that's here. We can then eject, unlock that, come back into the persistent level, And you can put G on if you want or not, it doesn't matter. Go unlit. So now you select everything, remove the materials, like so. Now it's nice and grey. And if we hide at that, with it being lit, there, just a little grey box. Now this level is finished, the test level, the pre-rendered background, so you can delete that if you wish. I'll eject that just in case anything cocks up and I don't want to move the camera. So once you've done that, we will right click and create a material, call it PRBG. Drag that down. This is going to be my material. This is going to be a post process. Now to start the system, we're going to deal with the stencil that we did, the custom depth stencil that we put in the settings. So we're going to need 2 scene textures. This first one is going to be custom stencil. There. This one is going to be post process input 0. And we're going to need 2 masks. This top one is just going to be R, that goes into color. And this one is going to be RGB into color. And we need a constant. We'll put that to 1. And then from here we get an if math node. So mask R comes into A. Mask RGB goes into A equals B. And this constant here, this one comes into B. And then we can plug that into the emissive color. Now that's not going to work because we still have more to do. But what this is saying is this is the custom stencil that we're putting on with post process input 0 and a value of 1. So if it's not 1, if it's not 0 or A, then we go to this one, I think. So that's that. Then we'll come down here a bit and we'll get a parameter, a texture sample parameter 2D, and we'll call this pre-rendered background. Before here, we'll get a scalar parameter, and we'll call this PRBG strength. If you find your image is a bit dark, then you can bump this up from 1, which is the normal, and it to whatever you want. It will appear a lot brighter. From here, we get a multiply. Pop that in. Get another component mask, RGB. And then from here, we're going to get 2 lerps. Linear interpolation. Copy, and we'll paste that one here. That one goes there. This one comes into the B. And then one goes into the B of that. And this lerp goes into the final 2 connections on the if. Like so. Then we copy this, paste it down here. This one is going to be post-process input 0, and this one is just going to be a diffuse color with a scalar of 1, and then we'll get saturation here. The scalar to the fraction, the divide math node, which will then clamp And the clamp goes into the alpha. And then from this bit here, we'll get another scalar parameter. And we'll call this one darkness. Put that to 1. Plug that into the alpha. So what this one is doing is the shadow value. So if you have it lower than 1, then it will appear a lot darker. So you may want to just play around and see what works best for you. Now, I'm going to apply that. And if we click on here, we have to come down here to post-process material. Now by default, it's scene color after tone mapping. Now I found that is incredibly dark and doesn't work, but for some reason, scene color before depth of field does work. That is the material. We'll then close that, come back in here, and here we will create material instance and get our screenshot. Open the instance. Select the screenshot, pick the pre-rendered background, and apply. We can close that, select our camera, and we'll come down to post-process materials, an array, choose asset reference, and the reference is what we've just created, the instance, which is not selected. Instance, click. You can see here we have the background applied. So if I press play, there, we have the background showing. We have the shadows. We've got the light coming from the light source. We have a torch on, then we can add extra light to the materials, to the meshes. And as you can see, the player is see-through. That's because we haven't changed the player's custom stencil depth. The player is still at 0. We'll come out of there and open the player character. We'll click on the body here and type in custom for render custom depth pass. Click that, set it to 1. And then we'll do the face as well. And at this point, you can go through everything on the body, make all the clothes, anything else you want. Compile, close that, and play. And there we go. And that's it. Now, one of the main benefits of the pre-rendered backgrounds is that it seriously reduces the processing and rendering needs of the engine and your computer to make the game run smoothly. One thing you can do to help it even further is hide the objects in the game so the meshes themselves aren't being rendered. Now, I know this is just a simple cube, but if you have a million cubes in the game, they all still need to be rendered and they all take processing power. Now, this is a sort of double-edged sword. Now, so we have the cube here. That's the crate, as you can see here. If you were to click on it, and then over here come hidden in game. Click actor hidden in game. So we'll remove the background. So there's no pre-rendered background. Cube is there. Cube 1. Okay. Now I press play. As you can see, the cube isn't there. There's no shadows, nothing. However, the collision is there. It's just not visible. We'll select the camera again. There we go. So, the cube is hidden in game. And we'll press play. Now the cube is there. However, well, as you can see, it's there. We can collide with it. Now, it doesn't cast any dynamic shadows. Doesn't receive any shadows. This shadow, what you're seeing here, this is on the pre-rendered background itself. This is on the 2D image, basically. This cube is in the world, and it's got that moving shadow behind it. This one isn't. in the game. Well, isn't in the level. It has no shadow. So that's something to think about. One thing that would be good for would be anything in the background, like in the distance. So buildings or a skyline, a forest, piles of rocks, whatever you're building. Think of it like if your player has a flashlight or a torch or a light source, anything that light source is going to touch, you want to be in the game. You want to have a physical mesh in there to interact with the lights and cast shadows. Anything it can't reach, anything too far away, then set hidden in game, save some power. One main difference if you check out Mathieu's tutorial is the constraint aspect ratio on the camera. He says not to do it. Now, which is here. You can see it. I mean, when I click constraint aspect ratio, you can see here it doesn't line up. Now, I'm not the best in Unreal Engine, and I know there are people a lot smarter than me out there, so maybe someone can shed light on this. I'll untick constraint aspect ratio and I'll play. And now you can see it doesn't line up. And I'll just increase this. Okay. That is because of the aspect ratio on the camera is not constrained. I'm setting it here. Now, if I tick constraint aspect ratio and then play, no matter the scale, it always lines up. And I can make it full screen and I can make it absolutely tiny and it all lines up. So that's one area where we differ. For me to get it to work, I have to have constraint aspect ratio on. However, I am making a classic survival horror. So I'm thinking of maybe having it in 4.3 ratio anyway. So I'll do that in my camera settings. But as I said, check his website out. It goes a lot further in depth than this. This is just the very, very basic method of getting it to work. And with the camera switches, I'll show you. So I have camera switches on the various rooms. Just take that. Come here. Then it switches here. I haven't got the background set up on this one, so we'll come around the corner. Now this is a good point. This camera tracks the player. And obviously pre-rendered backgrounds don't work with moving cameras. It has to be still. So if there's some genius out there that can get it to work, brilliant. Please share details in the comments. Let us know how you've done it. But yeah, thank you for watching my video. If you have any thoughts or notes or anything at all, please let me know. And hope you have a lovely day and be well.